Hey viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. It's time for another podcast style episode. It's an evening as I'm going to record this, as is pretty much the case quite often at the moment. Work's done for the day and as usual I'm here for a bit of a recording session to just relax in an evening. Think about recording some Sir, may also record a bit of other stuff as well, maybe a bit of bonus content or whatever. I actually really kind of felt like doing a So You're Being Hunted episode because I've had something on the brain as usual, and I thought, it's a good, good for a topic of conversation and all that. Do you remember how quite some time ago I actually talked in a Sir episode about some of the stupid adverts I've been getting on YouTube, namely for Hero Wars? That damn friggin', I don't even know what it is, a mobile game, whatever it is, that probably is an absolute pile of crap, but has these really zany and weird adverts. You know, what I may do before I actually upload this video, before I start editing it, I may just go on YouTube and I'll have a sort of Bandicam on screen record in the background, and I might see if I can record some snippets of these friggin' adverts, because I'm getting a load of the Hero Wars ones again. They're all friggin' coming up, and as usual they're bloody zany and ridiculous, and you know, I think I probably have mentioned this before. Have I mentioned this when Connor was joining me and Phil for one of our Sir episodes? I think I probably did. But I'm convinced that in that game, Hero Wars, you actually play as the villain. Because you watch some of those adverts, old Hero Wars dude, he freaking falls down into the goblin realm, and he just straight up attacks some of the goblins before they've even attacked him. Some of them don't even make a move to attack him. They just, peacefully going about their business, and then he tries and kills them. So he's very much the villain of that game, ladies and gentlemen. Not the hero at all. It should be called Villain Wars. But, yeah, I mean, that's not really what I want to rant and rave about. What I really want to just mention was the fact that I'm getting them all over again. And why is it that a lot of these Hero Wars adverts always usually start with Hero Wars dude with some incredibly stylized cartoon woman sort of giving off real sort of step on me queen energy, in which he tries to do something like maybe steal a bit of treasure or something, and then crazy big woman basically steps on him and sends him down to the goblin realm or whatever. It seems to me that every single advert for that game when it comes up always does that. So I don't know what the deal is. But basically, the actual gameplay of the game itself just looks like, level your character up, direct him to attack enemies who have a lower number. Can you do simple addition? As I think people have described it. Pretty sure there are videos on YouTube of people who, like me, were getting just bombarded with adverts for it, and then eventually decided that what they were going to do is they were going to actually do basically a piss take video on it, where they actually looked at it to see what it actually was. So yeah, you can probably go and find those on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. But thing is, it's not just Hero Wars that's been bombarding me with adverts recently. There've been some other ones now that have cropped up, so I'm curious to see how many of you out there are getting some of these adverts as well. Is anyone getting bombarded every so often by adverts for some kind of company? I'm guessing it's a company called Akamai Computing, and in particular, is anyone getting their advert, which feels like such a cliche corporate advert, where it starts off with this trendily dressed friggin' tech mogul tycoon dude, brown haired, wearing his t-shirt under a sports jacket, things like that, and he sort of comes out with, the usual sort of corporate spiel, where it's like, so you imagine, so it becomes.
As we imagine, so it becomes.
Whatever the fuck that means. You sat there thinking, what are you talking about? And then it goes to another guy who's like, well, basically what we're talking about here is we're talking about centralized cloud computing integrated with friggin' edge cloud computing, and you integrate that together and you get the holistic software package that you can shove up your ass.
Centralized cloud computing and edge cloud computing.
Well, he doesn't say quite like that, but basically you get, if you've seen the advert, that's not far off, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Something about centralized cloud computing and edge cloud computing, and I'm sat there watching this advert thinking, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, in all seriousness. That's probably because, I'm not a very techie sort of person. I don't have much, technical know-how and all that, but, so Akamai Computing is one that I'm getting a lot of adverts for at the moment, as I'm going to record this. The other one I've been getting adverts for at the moment is some kind of drink called Sneak or something, and its advert is just a cacophony of colour and just flashing meme visuals and things like that. Oh yeah, this freaking device piece can't be picked up, can it? I forgot completely. I'll have to start a new map at some point, I do think. But yeah, I'm getting sneak adverts, and it's just a bombardment of every fucking like flashing colour and meme, like the Illuminati triangle just spinning around on its axis with laser beams coming out of it. I just think to myself, this has got absolutely no relation to the product that you're selling. It's just ridiculous eye-catching visuals that are designed to try and stick in your mind, which actually, you know, from a marketing point of view makes sense. Because sometimes, you know, sometimes the best adverts aren't necessarily the ones that relate to the product. They're the ones that are just so zany that you friggin' remember what they are and what product or service they're selling. But I'm curious to know, a lot of these things that you see in these kind of adverts, are they even legit? Can you actually buy these things? Are they real? Or are they just internet scams or pyramid schemes and that kind of thing? Or just, you know, are they legit in the sense that you can actually buy something, but what you're buying is actually just trash that's not worth the money you pay for it and all that? Now if I come back here, can I actually even get this thing? Is there any little sweet spot here where I can pick it up? Not by the looks of it, no. Never mind. So yeah, that's the adverts that I've been getting on YouTube recently, which I just wanted to have a rant and a rave about. I just keep thinking of that Akamai cloud computing advert though, and my little sort of impersonation of the dude talking. And it's centralized cloud computing with integrated edge cloud computing. You integrate it all together, blah 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 blah. Meaningless corporate jargon, insert here. Yes. You know, speaking of meaningless corporate jargon, I know I've just sort of mentioned the, you know, how that particular advert is absolutely full of it. But God, it's one of those things. Either, you know, as soon as you see an advert that's got all that corporate jargon in it, you either switch off completely, or you listen to it just to see how many freaking buzzwords they can squeeze in. You know, meaningless corporate buzzwords, basically. We need to synergize our core competencies. We need to table emotion. Put a pin in this thing. Do you feel yourself already switching off from the video, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as I start talking, you know, using corporate slang and all that? Indeed. I feel like that Akamai cloud computing advert basically is just, they've just strung together a load of corporate jargon in the hopes that it sounds clever and that it makes convincing some gullible person out there that it actually makes sense, even though they themselves probably don't even know what it means. The people watching the advert, that is. It just gets me how the friggin' start of the advert that I'm getting, it always starts off with just that weird-ass like slogan that is actually quite meaningless, and, you know, so we imagine, so it becomes, and all that. It's like, what does that even mean? Come on. Yes. And it always ends with the guy going, what will you create? As he points at the camera. As though he's pointing at you, the audience. What will you, audience? What will you create? Probably nothing, because you're probably not even interested in what he's selling and all that. But indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Are there any other weird adverts that I'm getting on YouTube at the moment? Not that really spring to mind. I've not had any sort of particularly really weird and odd ones at the moment. Not like that weird, what was that one that I got quite a few months ago? That I'm pretty sure I've talked about here in Surrey Being Hunted. I'm pretty sure people in the comments were like, yeah, I got that too. I had that friggin' advert once as well. It was like a cartoon. That's right, it was, what was it called? Cute bondage cartoon, that was it. Sorry, yeah, we're going there, ladies and gents. We're going back to risque topics. That one where it was like the cartoon woman who went into the bookshop and found the book all about friggin' whatever it's called, friggin' shibari Japanese rope bondage or whatever, and discovered a new fetish. It was weird. It was like, what is this even an advert for? What are you even advertising to me here? And why am I being shown this? Yeah, I've not had an advert quite as odd as that for quite some time. Mostly, like I say, it's just been stupid Hero Wars commercials, Akamai Cloud Computing, and occasionally Sneak Energy Drink. Let me know in the comments, though, if you've had any really weird, odd YouTube adverts. Please do tell me all about them, because I've not had them. I wonder if me actually saying these things out loud in my video will actually just cause them to start appearing whenever I try and watch YouTube. If it'll start making them appear more frequently. Because that's the thing. I know that YouTube's algorithms can detect, for example, if you say a swear word within the first few seconds of your video, so that then it can demonetize it. I'm sure it probably, you know, has figured out how to recognise certain buzzwords that it can then push adverts out related to that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a thing, ladies and gentlemen. It probably is, right? It's got to be a thing, surely. Voice recognition and all that. Because, you know, AI technology is really kind of advancing these days. It's getting better and better. Getting better and better at sort of recognising certain buzzwords or key terms, and then sort of connecting those to other things, and using that as a way of determining what sort of, you know, Google AdSense and adverts and things like that it can sort of push in your general direction. Which, you know, on one level is kind of scary and all that, though it is quite fascinating, the technology. But no, it is very weird. What if, for example, I don't know, started sort of, I don't know, what if I started just shouting out random friggin' buzzwords and keywords? What about if I was to shout out the names of, like, really popular games, for example? Just say them in a very sort of clear, flat tone of voice to see if the algorithm recognises it, and then to see if it actually starts giving me adverts for those. What if, for example, I sat here and I said very out loud, well, let's say I sit here and I say Genshin Impact, ladies and gentlemen. Will it start giving me adverts for that? What if I keep repeating the word Genshin Impact? Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact. What if I start even commenting it down in the comment section? What if I just make a comment that says Genshin Impact and nothing else? And I just pin that at the top of my comment section? Would it recognise it, the algorithm, and take that into account when it's pushing adverts to me? I'd be interested to see that, actually. Yes. You know, actually, speaking of Genshin Impact, sorry, this is going to be a right diversion. We're going on to a new topic now, because I've just been thinking about it. Basically, you know, I've mentioned before that I'm living at the moment in the sort of Swindon area here in the UK. Not going to say precisely where, but recently I basically I had my old folks came down to visit me, and we decided to go out for a day, you know, on a Saturday the 22nd of June it was. We went out into the middle of town. We went to the Swindon designer outlets, which are very upmarket. Basically a series of old, what are basically old locomotive works, kind of buildings, very big, which obviously have been redeveloped into a big sort of upmarket shopping centre. Really quite fancy, I must say. Basically they have lots of outlets for a lot of like fashion brands and boutiques. And then they have other stuff. There's like a friggin' Lindt chocolate shop, which has all sorts of flavours of Lindt chocolates that I didn't even know existed. They even have a friggin' Haribo shop, would you believe? So I'm definitely going to go back there at some point, because you could probably get some like nice birthday gifts for friends and family members and things like that there. But basically we went there. So, you know, we sat down in one of the little cafes, had a coffee, went for a wander around. And as we were wandering around, we noticed every so often people walking by in cosplay. So we noticed, for example, one guy who walked by dressed as Boba Fett from Star Wars. And then later on, we noticed a couple of girls who were going around dressed as what appeared to be sort of, what were definitely at first, what we thought were first like anime characters. And since then I've realised the characters those two girls were dressed as, I'm pretty sure were actually Genshin Impact characters. I think one of them was, what are they called? One of them I think was dressed as Farina, and one of them I think was dressed as, and I'm probably butchering the pronunciations here, Baido, how you pronounce it. I might flash images of them up on the screen if I remember. But yeah, so there were like people in cosplay who we kept seeing every so often. And so afterwards I was kind of like, huh, interesting. Is there some kind of event going on nearby? Well, since then I've actually Googled it. I actually Googled Swindon Designer Outlets cosplay to see if there was anything sort of going on in that area. Turns out there was. So at the Steam Museum, which was literally just across the way from the designer outlets, there was basically a well, basically it was called Swindon Comic Con 2024, happening right there at the Steam Museum, and I am actually sad that I didn't know about that, because I actually probably would have liked to go to that, just, you know, to have a look around, see some cosplayers, maybe see what kind of things were available, because apparently they even had like voice actors and stuff from various, I guess, like shows, and maybe even potentially even like anime and stuff like that, who were there doing signings or whatever. Not that I would have probably known any of them, but oh, it would have been fascinating. You know, it is probably actually on my sort of, I was about to say my bucket list. I don't actually have a bucket list, but if I did, it would be on there. It's probably one of those kind of things to do in my life that I really want to do, which is go to some kind of like anime convention or something like that, and actually, you know, probably sort of see what kind of cosplayers you can see and things like that, because I would love to go to one, just to say I've, you know, just to say I've been to at least one of them before. Have I talked about this before in one of my Surrey Being Hunted episodes? I don't think I have, ladies and gents. I don't think I have at all. But yeah, so that was what I kind of had in mind. And so I was thinking about that. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I have sometimes thought about cosplay, what it would be like to do as an actual hobby. And I have sometimes thought to myself, there is an appeal to it. You know, if you get like a character or a design that you really like from a certain game, certain anime or a certain franchise or whatever, it'd be actually really awesome to try cosplaying. And, you know, I don't just mean sort of whipping together a very quick costume, I mean actually spending the time to actually really try and create a costume that is really accurate to the source material. I think to myself, that would probably be really awesome, but at the same time, obviously it would take a lot of effort, and of course, like, you know, some cosplayers really go all out. They really spend like months and months and can end up spending a lot of money just to create the perfect cosplay and all that, which I think is real dedication, and I can really admire that. And I think to myself, you know, cosplay is one of those things where there's a part of me in the back of my mind that thinks it would be awesome to kind of get into that, but at the same time, it'd be like, where the hell would I start with that? I suppose really the starting point would be to just find kind of like an idea for a cosplay, a costume or something that you'd like to have a go at, and just sort of sit down and focus and really kind of plan out, okay, how am I going to recreate this costume? Do I just sort of buy like a pre-made costume? Because some franchises, you know, things like that, you can find pre-made costumes, but obviously there's always a bit of a question, I think, sometimes around them in terms of, you know, are they actually any good? Are they cheap and therefore not very good quality? And probably, you know, the real good quality ones will be more expensive. Or do you try creating one entirely from scratch, which, you know, could cost you a lot more, but which, you know, obviously you are going to have a lot more control over how it ultimately turns out. But then you think, if you're going to create one from scratch, you're probably going to need some good sort of costume making skills, which I probably don't have. Because the thing is, like, some cosplayers go all out. You know, they make their own costume from scratch, and that, you know, they have amazing things like sewing skills and, you know, things like that, which of course, you know, I don't have. I always remember when I was in high school doing textiles in sort of years 7 and 9, because the thing is, I remember in high school, years sort of 7 to 9, obviously you have design and technology, the subject, and throughout the years there, they would sort of rotate you through different subsections of D&T. So, like, for example, for a couple of months, maybe you do things like woodworking, then maybe a couple of months later you do like food, cooking, and then maybe for another couple of months you do textiles, things like that. And then of course once you get to year 10 and above, when you're selecting your GCSEs, in my high school you had to do a DT subject, but you actually chose what you did. And ultimately, when I was in year 10, 11, I for my DT I did a subject called graphic products, which was all about like graphic design, things like that. But yeah, for year 7 through 9 we obviously did a range of stuff in DT, one of which was textiles. Now, I always remember as a teenager, I never really liked textiles. I was never great at it. because, you know, like sitting there friggin' spooling up for these sewing machines and things like this, I could never quite get the hang of it. But, you know, it's one of those things where you think, you know, that's when you're a kid, but now as an adult, if you were to come back and do it again, you know, you're a bit more patient, and maybe, I don't know, would you find that you're better at it, potentially? I don't know. So, yeah, it's a thing. So, yeah, if I was to cosplay, I'd probably what I'd want to do is maybe do a costume which I wouldn't need to do any sort of, like, you know, major kind of sewing or, you know, darning or anything like that, to put it that way. I'd want something that's probably, you know, bits and pieces that I could probably slap together quite easily. And that way, you know, it would work. But, yeah, who knows? It's just, you know, this is very much me sort of spitballing ideas. You know, the chances of this actually happening, I'm going to be honest, are probably very remote. But you never know. Never say never, ladies and gentlemen. You never know where the future might take you and all that. But yeah. I am really curious, though. Those two girls who I saw in Swindon designer outlets who were dressed as Genshin Impact characters, if on the off chance that you ever stumble across this video, please, if you have a YouTube account, please comment below and let me know, was I correct? Were you actually cosplaying as Genshin Impact? Did I get it right? Were you playing as... Were you cosplaying as Beidou and Furina? Am I correct? And if you know, if you have socials, let us know. I'm sure there's probably tons of people out there who are into cosplay, who may well stumble across this video at one time or another, who might well be interested in following you on social media, checking out your cosplays and whatever else have you. Not that, yeah, I mean, the chances of those cosplayers ever seeing this video, like I say, very slim, but you never know. I mean, there's freaking game devs who sometimes come across my videos whenever I play, you know, one of their games. Even if the video itself only gets like a measly 20 views or whatever, they still come across it, and they still find it, and they still comment, saying, hey, thanks for playing my game and all that. And yeah, there you go, folks. Alright, I mean, I think that's actually good for an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Squeezed a bit more time out of that one, actually, than I thought I was going to do. What started as me ranting and raving about stupid YouTube adverts actually ended up turning into something quite interesting, didn't it? At least I thought it was interesting anyway. So yeah, thanks for watching then, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll join me for some more probably podcast-style content here in Syria Being Hunted sometime soon. Facebook and links are down below, along with the link to my propagandist channel for anyone interested. And if you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. Other than that, I'm signing off now. Goodbye, everybody. What is that going on over there? I have never seen that before, so we're going to go towards that. My health is not brilliant at the moment, and my bloody inventory's jam-packed full of stuff. Oh! Oh! What? What is this, fucking Eye of Sauron or something? Ow! What the hell? I found the Eye of Sauron, everybody. God, I'm going all Lord of the Rings up in this stuff. I need my friggin' thingy-bobbers on, so I can climb up here. What the hell is this thing? Oh, fuck off, Snake Man. What is this thing and what does it do? Oh. God, there's bloody monsters everywhere. This is kind of bad. I don't know what this is.